Good evening, sir. So we are here to report about developing Servlet using HTML. HTTP or Hypertext Transfer Protocol is used for communicating across the World Wide Web or WWW. Then, this follows request or response paradigm and known as stateless protocol. HTTP request: the browser sends the HTTP request to the web server and it contains three listed elements. These are the request line, HTTP header, and HTTP body. So, ang browser mag-send ng HTTP request sa web browser. And for example, ang user gusto mo access sa login page sa Friendster na website. Ang user mag-type ng http www.friendster.com sa browser. Ang client ang mag-open ng connection sa server ng HTTP Friendster at port 80. Ang default number 80 because ang default number ng HTTP request is 80. And ang client maghimo ng request sa server. Pagkatapos mag-connect ng client sa server, maghimo na sad ng request para sa login application users. So, ang example ng request line is get this page HTML space HTTP-1.1. And then the example of HTTP header might look like this. Then this is the HTTP response. The HTTP response is sent by the server back to the client browser containing the same elements. An example of response line might look like this. HTTP /1.1 space 200 space okay. So the first line includes the HTTP version number, which is the HTTP /1.1. Then ang butang ng space, then followed by numeric status code of the response, then nag-follow ng short text message nag-present ng status code. Then HTTP status code used by the server to communicate the status of request to the client. So, gamit ng server para ma-communicate sa status of request to the client, amo ini ang mga status para ma-inform ang client whether ang request ba na-process successfully ang code, and then ang code sad ang mag-indicate kung ano dyan na error. So, first, may baon na to ano dyan na error. Kung ang error dyan sa 100 to 199, this code's informational, the indicate the request is currently being processed. 200 to 299, nag-denote success ng server na dawatan nidya o na-carry out na nidya ang request successfully. Then 300 to 399 indicates that the request hasn't been performed because the information required has been moved. Fourth is 400 to 499. Ang codes nag-denote ng client error na ang request dili kompleto or incorrect or impossibly. Then, ang fifth is 500 to 599. This codes denote a server error which the request appeared to valid but the server failed to carry it out. Here's a sample of what a header might look like in HTTP response. So the general header contains the date, the response header contains the server, and the entity header indicates when was it last modified and the date. HTTP response body. If the request was successful, then HTTP response body contains HTML code together with any script that is used to be executed. requested by the browser, ready for the browser to use. So the HTTP response body, if ang request was successful, then the HTTP response body contains the HTML code, then ready na para magamit ng browser.
HTTP client-server architecture. For every exchange over the web using HTTP, there is a request and a response. The browser sends a single request to the server, then the web server determines which file is being requested and sends the data in that file as the response. And then the browser interprets the response and represent the content on the screen. So form controls. Text boxes. Text boxes are single-line fields for typing text into. So makita nato ini when John for example in Facebook maglagin kita John day. Ang text boxes amo dyan ang email or password magamit dyan. Then ang text areas are multiple line boxes for typing text into. Ini siya makatype kita ini diri na hamok. Next is the radio button. Radio buttons are multiple choice buttons that allow only one mutually exclusive answer. So ini maka-choice ra kita ng isa. Then the reset buttons. Reset button reset the contents of an HTML form that hasn't already been submitted. So makita nato ini bisan asa. Then mostly kay John mag-input kita ng uno na mga form. Kung gusto nato na dili anay nato i-submit. Magamit nato ini. The normal buttons. Normal buttons trigger whatever event they are connected to. Mo ini click here. Password fields. Password fields are like text boxes, but with the one important difference anything you time input them is disguised banana stones. So meaning, kung ano man ni, ilado na maini na field dyan sa Facebook lagi, dyan password. Hidden fields. Hidden fields are set in HTML and are sent along with the other form data. Form data in the HTTP request. The data from each field in the HTTP form is packed into name value pairs in the form data sent in the HTTP request. The names in the name value pair are taken from the name attribute of each input tag in HTML form. Syntax for the data transmission of the HTML form data. I mean, yung field name. For example, nag-input ko na name. Ano to nga? For example, Pedro or Juan. Then sa field name to, amaton ija, apelido or ono, and field name to. For example, Godines or Davis. Ano dyan?
Ini ang example sa HTML code. So, last sem, nag-con kami ng ADPROG. So, may kaalaman na sab kami dire sa get and post. So, kasi naa sa get method. Ang get method is used to request data from a specified resource. Get is one of the most common HTTP methods. Mas less secure ang get method kaysa post. Kay ang get method kay ma-identify ra nimo kung unsa ang imo gi-insert papunta sa another web page or kung asa nimo siya i-action ang form. So for example, dere For example, dere nag-input ako ng cherry. Sa last name Davis. Nag-submit na ako. Makita na ako ang ako tag input sa first name o last name ang Davis. So makita dire sa URL ang imong ang name ug ang value na imo tag input. So sa get makita gajud ang mga gipang insert nimo. Bawal gajud siya sa password. Ana. So ano dyan sa post method siya is used to send data to a server to create, update a resource. Ano mo ka ba? Diyan si Jay ko ang imo kapasahan. Ka. Then, ang post method kay dili siya mo cache. Dili siya mo save ang ija ko ang ija history. Then, dili sa makita ang imo password. Mas advantage siya kaysa get method.
Now, the HTTP servlet request object contains three main methods for extracting form data. These are the get parameter, the get parameter values, and the get parameter names. Get parameters are used to retrieve a single form parameter. It has passable return values like the string that corresponds to the form parameter, the empty string that has a parameter exists but has no value, and a null that parameter does not exist at all. While the get parameter values, it is used to retrieve multiple form parameters with the same name. For example, a series of checkboxes all have the same name, and you want to determine which ones have been selected. It has a returns an array of strings. An array with a single empty string indicates that the form parameter exists but has no values. Null indicates the parameter does not exist at all. Then the get parameter names. It is used to retrieve a full list of all parameter names submitted by the user. It returns an enumeration object. By cycling through the enumeration object, you can obtain the names of all parameters submitted to the server. Note that the Servlet API does not specify the order in which parameter names appear.